Well, I told a lot of people I was going to sit down with you, and it's pretty interesting the reactions I got. I think you divide people when you talk when they talk about you. And what I found interesting was I told the girls, but it was the guys that actually I found some loved you and some hated you.
Yeah.
And that actually surprised me. I was just like, why and what's going on? But you definitely are divisive, and
very polarizing for sure.
I was wondering if we could talk about that and maybe just start off with getting your read on the Dan Blizerian phenomenon and why people watch you, and just because you probably had time to think about that. And before we get into that, I'd love to get your thoughts on two quotes from one of your favorite authors, Henry David Thoreau. Sure. And I'm going to hit you with these now, and then I'd love to get your opinion. The first one is, this one, "The mass of men lead lives of quiet desperation."
Yep.
The second one is, "Rather than love, than money, than fame, give me truth."
Yep.
What do those quotes mean to you? Because in a weird way, it kind of defines who you are, I think.
Yeah. Just kind of unapologetically myself. I never really confined to the norms, the PC, culture of, you're supposed to say this, you're supposed to do this. I just always kind of, did my own thing. And so I think people are starting to respond really well to that. Like Cardi B, for instance. I mean, here's a, stripper that, she just speaks her mind, and people like that. I think there's a lot of, celebrities coming out now that are very unorthodox, and before it was basically, you couldn't say anything, that was controversial. And I think now the controversy is, one of the more positives. I think it's weird, like some of the, negative press that I got me, more popularity than, some of the positive stuff. So,
like what? The bear.
Throwing the, Dan Blizerian throws porn star off the roof. Dan Blizerian arrested in, LAX on federal bomb making charges,
right.
Stuff like that. Yeah. And it's funny because like those, the bomb making one, that was like pretty low key. I blew up a semi truck that I owned, and they made it sound like I was kind of a terrorist at the airport with a bomb,
Were you blowing it up at the airport?
No, I mean, okay. I flew in there on my plane. Like, I'm not going to blow up my own plane, and, so it was a thing. But, the headlines now, it's not necessarily about, what's true or, what's accurate. It's more about, like, what's going to get somebody to click on this article. We've become, like a society of, more clickbait. So, just that over here. Yeah, it seems like, it's about just getting web clicks and not about, reporting the news anymore.
And have you always been kind of unapologetic and just been you?
Yeah, I never really like wanted to have like a 9-to-5 or do like a conventional job. Just never appealed to me. So.
You had Cardi B at one of your parties. You guys get along well because you guys speak the truth?
I didn't talk to her a ton, but she seemed nice to me. Yeah, I do like the fact that she's just kind of, who she is, and she doesn't really give a shit.
You think Donald Trump kind of ushered some of this stuff in as well, just being himself?
I mean, the guy became president based on that, right? I mean, kind of, yeah, it's crazy. Name calling and, doing all this wild shit and, getting people to pay attention to him.
Right. And what do you make of the phenomenon that is Dan Blizerian? 44 million people watching you, and
crazy thing.
Yeah. Why do you think it's there? Is it because most people are living those lives of quiet desperation, and
yeah, I mean,
you're
I think,
a reflection of what they could be?
Yeah, I think people are just, they're, just doing what they're supposed to do or what people tell them to do, and it's kind of unfortunate, It's afraid to, kind of step outside the box, and I've lived, outside the box my whole life, so.
Right. It's just, you just started showing it in the last 5 years on social.
Yeah, I think like 7 years. Can I put this on my shirt?
Yeah, the Dan Blizerian phenomenon, 44 million people watching you.
It's kind of a crazy thing, man. It just kind of happened out of nowhere, too. Yeah, it's like, a couple little things like the, porn star off the roof, and then, just starts, the momentum, just picks up. And I think it's like once you get to 100,000, then it's easier to get to 500. Once you get to 500, it's easier to get to 1,000,000. And then, because the thing is like so as soon as like one person likes it, then everybody that they see that follows them see that they like, you know what I mean? So it's like that, tree branch effect.
Right.
So.
And was this always a plan? Is there a master plan behind it or not? Because some people say
Honestly,
you're the social media genius. But.
It was just to get laid. I mean, that was really like the whole like start of this thing was just to kind of, subtly brag online and get laid easier with less effort. And social media was like kind of a tool for that. And
that's something that didn't happen much when you were a kid?
Like not a ton in high school. And then, the military was... I was in SEAL training most of the time, so yeah. College, it was good, but yeah.
And you said before that, you didn't get much attention as a kid, which is why now you like to, be a flashy lunatic. That's what you said before. Is that a generalization, or is that a fair assessment of you?
I mean, that was probably that was probably a contributing factor, I think. I think when I look back, a lot of the things that I did was, like when I was a kid, my dad had the big house, but he didn't have the Ferraris, he didn't have the fast boats and the nice watches and all the stuff that my neighbor did. So I think a lot of stuff from your childhood influences you. So when I, made a ton of money, I just went out and, got all that stuff. I got the, the cars and the watches and the plane and the, all the stuff. So.
Do you think you're an extroverted person? Because you seem kind of like an introvert sometimes.
I'm so overexposed that to me, I think fame is isolating, fame and money too. So I would say the more the spotlight's on you, the more you kind of don't want it. You're like, you ever go out and you feel like people are looking at you? Well, like imagine going out and feeling like that, and they just always are. So it's like after a while you lose your privacy, and then you're just like, fuck, I don't know. Like going out such a production, you need security, you need this, you need that, and then you're gonna have to take a bunch of pictures and talk to people and have conversations, and I don't know. I mean, if you go out and you're fucking high, you don't really want to talk to a bunch of strangers, Remember I was on mushrooms one time and I got fucking cornered. I walked out to this peninsula. I was in Mykonos, and I came back and there was like all these people waiting to talk to me. I was like, fuck, that was the last thing I wanted to do, but I didn't have a choice. I could have swam around them maybe. I contemplated that, but it's just your life just changes. It's not, not the same. Like you can go out to a bar, you go to a ball game, and it's not a production. Like if I went to a sporting event, I'd have 1 million people come up and want to have a conversation with me. So